Good Thursday evening. I hope you had a wonderful day in the Lord, November 7th. We are in the next chapter, 2Chron.26, 26, and it kind of coincides with the events of the city of Chicago today. We were anticipating our police superintendent's announcement of his retirement, and he did so earlier in a press conference. And it reminded me of a lot of the king that we're going to talk about. His name is King Uzziah, and he started to reign at the age of 16. And Eddie Johnson, who was our superintendent, recalled his childhood and how he grew up in the housing projects in Cabrini Green. And, he was an obscure individual, not out there as a superstar, but he rose up in the ranks and he was able to be asked by our former mayor to become a superintendent. But at the press conference, he talked about all of his accomplishments and all of his accolades, and it was nice. He was talking about, the strategic annual plans and the federal consent decrees and establishments of this and that. There was a team writing it down. And I was talking to my coworkers, and they were saying how they were surprised, but this was leading up to it all along, especially after that occurrence. And I just said that I thought that was just a job that no money in the world is worth it. And I believe he was paid like $260,000. And because he's retiring before next spring, he's going to get, I guess, $50,000 less, I guess, in his pension. I don't know. But money is not everything. Okay, it's doing the will of the Lord, having his favor. And King Uzziah, well, he sought God in the days of Zechariah, who had understanding. And as long as he sought the Lord, God made him to prosper. We want this. It sounded like, in that press conference, it sounded like it was his obituary as far as, all the bragging, oh, I did this, I did that, I managed this. Okay. Well, as long as you seek the Lord is the one to be boasted about. And he went forth, and the same thing with Uzziah. He warred against the Philistines. He broke down the walls of Gath and Jabneh, and God helped him against the Philistines and against the Arabians. And he built towers in verse 10 in the desert and digged many wells. He had much cattle, and he had a host of fighting men, and he went against the enemy, and he prepared throughout all the host shields and had spears and helmets. And he made in Jerusalem engines, and he invented by cunning men and towers and bulwarks. And his name spread far abroad, for he was marvelously helped till he was strong. He sought his strength in the Lord. But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up in himself to his destruction. We see that again. Instead of his construction and his upbuilding, it was his downfall. For he transgressed against the Lord his God and went into the temple. He did too much. He was like, I can do this. I'm the king. I have accomplished all this. And he burned incense upon the altar, which was the priest's job. Well, what happened? He got leprosy. He lifted his hand and even rose up in his forehead. And for the rest of his days, he was in a separate house. Oh, how tragic. Now, the good thing about our superintendent is that he was able to, leave, and hopefully he'll be able to enjoy the remaining years of his life, that he doesn't have to be in a separate house. He's a newlywed, just got married this summer. So we want him to enjoy the fruit of his labor. And the enemy is mad when anyone is successful. He wants people to end up in tragedy and destruction. Today is November 7th. Proverbs 7 reminds us of the relative that we have to keep so close, closer than a cousin. And I'm losing cousins, both sides, right? They're graduating to glory and we're praying for them. But there's a cousin that should be closer to us. It says, say unto wisdom, verse 4, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman or cousin. That relative, she, wisdom, will protect you from those situations so you won't make a fool and have the end, which is your destruction. No, you want to be able to enjoy retirement and the fruit of your hands and mock at the enemy because he doesn't want that. All right. So let's make sure that we keep wisdom close, enjoy what the Lord has us and to do. And congratulations, Superintendent. Job well done. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.